Hey there, everybody. Happy Thursday. Thanks so much for joining us for another lesson with our wonderful teacher, Bridget Rampton. So nice to see so many of our regulars joining in from all over the world. Hey, Shauna, Juliet, Lisa, Chris. Very glad to welcome you, Marie, to this class. I think you're going to have a really good time. Yeah, wonderful teacher, wonderful cohort. Jeanette, other folks who I see in here, maybe still just stretching or racing back with your cup of tea or wine, whatever time of day or night it is. No judgment from this end. Whatever helps you learn, internalize what we learned from our fantastic teacher. Just a reminder for the regulars, a request for the new or newish folks. If you run into any tech trouble, don't leave that in the chat as it can distract from the learning. Instead, you can use the support widget, which you should see in the bottom left corner of the screen to reach me, or reply to any of the emails that I send you about the weekly lessons. And I'll be over at the support desk. That way I can help you out privately and personally, and we won't distract from the learning. But what is that chat area for, besides saying hi at the beginning of the lesson? Is for responding to Bridget's questions, is for asking your own questions. And there are quite a few folks in the class who can't be with us live. In a way, it's your job to ask the questions that they might not be able to ask here live. So we're relying on you to ask Bridget questions, ask her to slow down when something's unclear. If it's clear to you, you can say that. But your input really brings so much to the class, so we appreciate it. Don't worry about making mistakes. As you can tell, the regulars all know this. This is such a wonderful and supportive group. So we'll all learn together. We'll all forgive each other, our mistakes, and we'll have fun. Let's have fun. That's the most important thing, right? Let me start the recording, and we'll be able to get started momentarily. Hey, Brown, so glad to have you with us today. Wendy, very glad to have you as well. Just waiting for, here we go. The recording is active. Welcome back, everyone in the class watching by replay. We're sad you couldn't be with us live. We're already having fun. Maybe next week you can join us. It is the same time, same place next week. So we hope to see you there. But in the meantime, if you have questions about this lesson, and one of the lovely folks who are here with us live don't ask the question, you can leave that question for Bridget on the class page, and we'll all keep learning together there. Also, a reminder, you can download these lesson slides from the lesson library. So go into the lesson library. If you haven't explored all of the lessons available in there, it's an incredible resource of past lessons. Do check that out. And of course, I'm always here. Hello at learnbridgeonline.com. You can reach me personally. I'd love to help. Or, just to say hi. I always love hearing from folks. All right, let's get to it. Let me call the woman of the hour up to the stage.
This is my favorite bit when you do this bit, the kind of the drum roll. Here she comes.
Right?
Exactly.
Yeah, I think I need to get an actual drum, and I better practice. But
I would like that, actually. And could you do something like stars and sort of balloons coming up behind me or something?
Yeah, well, watch this. Sometimes it works.
Oh, that's what I like. Yes, thank you. Anyway,
sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But today it must be a good lesson you have ready, because it was right on cue.
Oh, thanks very much. And it's lovely to see everyone. Did everyone get the message, by the way, from Bridget, that I'd like you to have a pen and paper handy, not because I want you to take notes, but because I want you to really think and be really actively engaged in this lesson. This is going to be a real thinking lesson. It's quite a challenging lesson. I'm not expecting everyone to grasp all of it, but I want you to get something and take away something from this lesson just to start that learning process with the Bridge. So often with Bridge, you start learning these things. At first you'll think, oh, I kind of get it a little bit. Then it will come up again. Then you'll think, yes, I'm really getting it. Then it comes up again. You think, okay, now that feels natural to me. So for some people, some of these ideas are going to be very new, but I want you all thinking today, and I want your pen and paper near you if you can possibly do that to help you, which makes me think that if you are drinking a glass of wine, I will actually be judging you because I need you to think. So put that glass of wine to the side while we have the lesson.
Right. I won't judge you. We won't judge you. All right, Bridget, over to you. I'll come back at the end of the lesson to help wrap things up. But otherwise, sing out my name if I could be of any help.
Yeah, sure. Okay. And Brigitte, I'm expecting you to do this too. I know he's still listening. Let's just shrink me down. So today's lesson is about communication. Let me just pop the slide up so we can see the front page. And I called it sort of he said, she said, he said, she said, bidding is communication. And I'm sure sometimes, you've looked down at the bridge table, either what you and your partner have done, or maybe what the opponents have done. And you can see all these bids on the table and you think, this is just incredible. We've managed to communicate so much to each other with all these bids in this little bidding box. We've said the most extraordinary amount to each other. I'm going to just jump forward a few slides, like say this one here. Can everyone see the bidding there? And sometimes you would have been playing bridge and you have had these kind of bidding auctions or seen somebody else having these bidding auctions, and you just think, this is just incredible how much they've said. And I remember hearing this probably apocryphal story once, it probably is, but about these world-class bridge players, and they were bidding away, describing their hands. And then someone said, what does that bid mean? And they said, oh, yeah, that's just a spare one that's saying, do you want pizza for dinner? And then the other guy says, oh, yeah, that would be nice, please, with pepperoni. I mean, surely fake, but it's kind of a fun idea how much communication you can do with bidding. So when I was thinking about the best, funnest way for this lesson, I thought the best kind of bidding, I think, comes up with slam bidding. So this is why this is going to be a little bit of a challenging lesson with the slam bidding, but it's fun. And I want to talk about Italian style cubids. So before we do anything else, can people just give me a little indication, or some people, about how familiar they are with these Italian style cubids? And if they've had them before? A couple of people have. Lisa hasn't. So I'll be okay. So there's going to be some people who are familiar and some people who are not familiar at all. So I'm going to go very slowly. If I'm going a bit fast, there's a couple of options. First, tell me to slow down. That's completely fine. And second, don't forget, as Brigitte said, you can download this lesson or look at this lesson later and just go through it again very slowly. And in fact, it's a great thing to do, especially if ideas are new, because it will start locking in these ideas for you. First time these ideas come to you, they can be a bit sort of abstract and what, whoa, that's incredible. So just stick with it. Listen to me as we go along. Try and engage and try and write down what you think should be happening as well. Don't worry too much if it's like, gosh, that's intense, because some will be going in for sure, as long as you're not drinking that glass of wine. So, oh, cool. Thank you. Thanks, Judith. I think that's Judith saying that, doing it with all the lessons. So the first point really is just how much communication you can do and how incredible it is, the bidding. It's just and really amazing out of that small bidding box that all the bids can mean different things and how much communication can happen. And I think in the game of bridge, the thing that really has developed is the bidding in the last sort of 20, 30 years. If you read old bridge books, you'll find that a lot of the playing information is the same. Some of the tips on how to play your hand and how you should be defending are very similar. But the bidding has completely changed and become very, very sophisticated. So in this lesson, I want to focus, like I said, on Italian-style cubids. A lot of people, when they start learning slam bidding, get very focused on Blackwood and Roman key card without really understanding about cubids, which are the bit that should really come first. And cubids are really more important. Cubids really let you describe your hand and your partner's hand to each other. You get so much information from these cubids. So that's what our focus is going to be on. So what is an Italian style cubid? So they're basically a way of showing your partner a first or second round control on the suit. And Sean has just asked, does this include a splinter? It doesn't include a splinter, actually. A splinter is another useful thing that comes up with the bidding and is often included in slam bidding. And Italian style cubids can come after a splinter. But what they're trying to say to your partner is, I have got first or second round control in a suit that's not the trump suit. So you're trying to say to your partner, I like the trumps, and I also have got something in each of these other suits. You find out exactly what's going on in your partner's hand. To be in slam, you can't lose 2 tricks. So if you ever think that you might lose 2 tricks, you don't want to be in slam, which seems so obvious, but it can be very difficult sometimes to assess whether you are going to lose the first 2 tricks. And these Italian style cubids are fantastic in doing that. In the old days, when they did cubids, and if this is all Greek to you at the moment, don't worry, because we'll have some examples and you'll start seeing what these things are. But in the old days, you would only ever show aces. And then this very famous Italian team, who I think might have been cheaters actually, but they were amazing as well. They came up with this Italian style cubid where you show first or second round control in the suit. And it really, like I said here, rocked the bridge world at the time when this happened. What it meant was people weren't bidding slams, missing 2 controls in a suit. So they weren't bidding slam in spades or hearts, say, missing 2 tricks straight off the top and perhaps clubs. If you're missing the ace and king in clubs, your slam's not making. So it was a much more elegant and sophisticated way of getting to slam. When are they used? So this is key. Like, when do they start coming into action? So it's after a major has been agreed at the 3 level, or a minor has been agreed at the 4 level. So this is when you start bidding these other suits to say that you've got these controls. And I'll talk in a minute exactly what the controls are and show you examples. Does anybody know, or can anybody think why for a minor, it wouldn't be after you've agreed the minor at a 3 level, whereas for a major it is? So if it goes 1 diamond, 3 diamonds, and somebody bids 3 hearts, that's not a cubid saying that you've got a control in hearts. It's actually something else. Does anybody know why for a minor it would be different? Anyone typing? Any thoughts? Wendy, brilliant. Wendy's just said it's because you might miss 3 no trumps. And that's right. So when you've agreed a minor, your first thing that you're thinking about is maybe we could play this in 3 no trumps. So when you've agreed the minor, what you often might be doing is trying to tell your partner that you've got some way of protecting the spade suit or the heart suit because you're interested in playing in 3 no trumps. So you might not have a control, you might not have a singleton or a void or an ace or a king, but you might have the queen, jack, 10, for instance, and you want to just say to your partner, oh, I've got this other suit covered in case you want to think about playing in 3 no trumps. Whereas if you agree a major at the 3 level, once you've locked in a major, when you've got an 8-card major fit, I'm sure you've all heard about the magic fit idea, you're not really looking for 3 no trumps anymore. It's very rare that you're going to be thinking about 3 no trumps. You've basically locked in your major and you want to go to game in that major. So with a major, it's when you've agreed the major at a 3 level. And with a minor, it's when you've agreed the minor at the 4 level. The reason I've put this rather unpleasant picture, I guess, really, of these people looking for mines is it's because bidding to slam is a really dangerous thing. You've got to be very careful. You've got to tread carefully. So almost imagine that you are actually doing this with your minesweeper. You're looking for problems as you move forward towards slam. I think one of the biggest things that beginners do, and I completely remember doing this myself, is just loving the idea of being able to ask for aces and do it, and then suddenly going too high. And I've suddenly ended up bidding 5, haven't got the aces I want, and have gone past the level of 4 and am going down in a 5-level contract. So you have to be so careful when you're bidding for slam. So I love this idea of just treading carefully, carefully, carefully towards slam. So how they work. So we've said that a control is a first or second round control on the suit is a way of stopping the suit in its tracks in either the first trick or in the second trick. So I know this writing is a bit small. I hope you can see it, but a first round control in a suit is going to be the ace, because if they play a card and you can just take it with your ace, that's stopped in the first round. Void also can stop it in the first round. So they play a card. If you've got a void, you can rough it in the first round. So that's a way of stopping a trick in the first round. Second round is a little bit different, because a second round control, you could have a singleton or you could have a king. And I've got some examples here. So the king and a small one is enough for a second round control. King and 2 small ones, king and 3 small ones, you're probably getting the idea, or just a singleton. So first round control is a way of just stopping the suit in its tracks with the first trick that's played. And second round control is a way of stopping the suit in its tracks when the second card in that suit is played. An example of no control in a suit is right down the bottom. I've got Queen, Jack, 10, 9, 8. So it might look like quite a good suit, but you've got no control in that suit if that's your side suit that's not trumps. There's no control in it because the opponents can play out the ace and the king. So you've got two losers in that suit. So the idea is that you never have to take the plunge if you are bidding these Q bids, and you're bidding them at the cheapest one first. So you start by bidding your lowest control first, and you just step by step up. You bid your controls up from the cheapest upwards. And if you miss one, it means you haven't got one. And the idea is that you'll never end up having to take the plunge and bidding 4 no trumps without knowing that you have got a first or second round control in every suit. So it's a much more elegant way of bidding to slam. So that's the example that I brought up at the very, very beginning. And we could start just by talking about this first and what this might mean. We'll just go slowly through it. So North opens a diamond. By the way, could someone just tell me how many people here are actually playing Echo and how many people are playing 5-card majors? Just for some of the hands, it will be a tiny bit different. Wendy said that the controls are different in playing in no trumps as well, and I'll answer that in a minute. So we've got a few doing 5-card majors, a few doing Echo. Sharma plays both. Okay, now that's cool. If you ever, most of the hands I'll probably do an Echo, but I can switch it around if you'd like me to. But if there's ever something you think that might be a little bit different with your 5-card major system, just message me on this chat as well, and I can talk about how the bidding could be a bit different, for instance. So the question was about no trumps, and that's a very, very good question. Let me scroll back. We've had a few points since then. Was it Wendy has said, question for later maybe. The controls will be different if playing in no trumps. So that's a very, very good question. So normally, if you're playing in no trumps, you're probably either bidding no trumps after you've Q bid having set a suit. So it might be that you've set a suit and then made these Q bids, and then one person has looked at all the Q bids, looked at how their hands work and think, hey, I'm playing in no trumps, being aware all the time that someone may have Q bid a void or a singleton. But the other thing that's a big point is when you're in slam and no trumps, if you open like 1 no trump, you're not going to be doing Q bids because 4 no trumps is like a quantitative way for no trumps. And no trumps is all about just making sure if you're in 6 no trumps that you have like 33 points between the 2 hands. Whereas if you're playing in a slam and a suit contract, it's so much about the shape. It's a different, very, very different idea. So you might sometimes start showing controls when you end up in no trumps. Usually you don't, though. Normally you're heading towards a suit contract. So this one here, this would, I think, be the same whether you're playing in 5-card majors this bidding or if you were playing in Echo. But North has opened a diamond. So at this stage, you don't really know very much about the hand at all. You just know they've opened a diamond, so they've got an opening hand. And then South has bid 1 heart. So the first thing I'd really like people all to be clear on this is if North jumps to 3 hearts here, how many points are you expecting from North? And also how many hearts minimum? Just want to make sure everyone's comfortable with this. This comes up quite a lot, this sort of thing. So they've agreed the heart at the 3 level here. So North has opened a diamond, South's bid a heart, and then North has jumped to 3 hearts. How many points? Yeah, Shauna said at least 4 hearts. Brilliant. Chris has said 16 plus points. So has Glenn. So has Judith. Yeah, so when I jump to 3 hearts here, that's 16, 17, or a bad 18 points. So you're basically saying, I love your hearts. I love your hearts. We've got a fit in hearts. I'm not quite good enough just to bid 4 hearts opposite a possible 6 count from you. South is only promising 6 points here with that first response. So they're saying not quite good enough to just bid 4 hearts, but I'm very close. So if you're not a sort of 6, 7 count, I kind of want you to go on. My partner often bids very, very light. So for me, I'm really cautious about just bidding 4 hearts directly with an 18 count, because I know sometimes my partner will stretch to bid 1 heart with like a 4 count if she likes it, her hand. So I'm often bidding 3 hearts here with even an 18 count. So to me, it's sort of a 16, 17, 18 count, and you must have 4 hearts here to make this jump. So 3 spade bid, we've agreed the hearts at the 3 level. So now we've agreed the hearts at the 3 level, there's Italian style cue bids come into action. So any suit you bid now, you're starting with the lowest suits available to you, and you're saying to your partner, I have got first or second round control in that suit. So what must South have now to bid 3 spades? A control in spades, says Wendy, very quick. So when we talk about a control in spades, you know South has got either the ace, a king and another one in spades, maybe a void in spades, and maybe a singleton in spades. What you know your partner doesn't have in spades is 2 or more cards without the ace king. So you know she can't have that when she bids 3 spades. So now North, they've agreed the hearts, and this is important. You've agreed the hearts. So 4 diamonds is saying nothing about their original suit they bid. So as soon as you agree the hearts, the cue bidding applies for all the suits. So what does 4 diamonds mean now? It's sometimes, Chris says, doesn't matter that South will be declarer. It's just the way it is, I'm afraid, because South bid the hearts first. There's some bidding systems, and I don't do this. To me, this would be a recipe for disaster. For me, my partner would get it wrong. But some people do transfers very, very early on at that 1 level for this exact reason. But it is going to be South being the declarer. Cool. So I've just asked the question, what is North showing with 4 diamonds? And Linda's saying, yes, it's a control in diamonds. It could lead through the King X, says Chris. Yes, it could. That's definitely a risk. That's always a risk. So they've come in and bid 4 diamonds here. So you know that they've got a control in the diamonds. What haven't they got? Okay, excellent. So they have no control in clubs. So this is where it gets really clever. So when South bids 3 spades, they're bidding the lowest one first. They're saying, I've got something in the spade suit, a way of controlling that first suit. And the North says, I've got something in diamonds. But by not bidding 4 clubs, because that was the next cheapest suit available, by not bidding 4 clubs, they're saying, I definitely don't have anything in the club suit, but I do have something in the diamond suit. So this is interesting for all sorts of reasons. First, because you're worried about the club suit. And second, because you know now that North has at least 2 clubs, because they can't have a void or a singleton. So you know, just thinking about their hand, if you've played Acol, they must have at least 5 diamonds and 4 hearts. So you now know, and I think even with standard American, it would be that way too, because if they had a balance 15, 16 count, they would have opened a no trump. So now you know that they've got 5 diamonds, 4 hearts, and at least 2 clubs, which is kind of interesting. So the inferences you can make about your partner's hand become really interesting. And Shauna says, yep, all about the hand shapes, which is right. It's all about the hand shapes. And it's amazing how much you can work out here. So you know your partner doesn't have a control on clubs. And when they tell you that, you kind of know about their shape as well. You're starting to get some indication to their shape. So if South bids 4 no trumps, what must they have here? So this whole idea of bidding slowly to try and find out more about your partner's hand before doing Blackwood means that you know you have to have every suit controlled. So what's the inference about what South must have? Yeah, well done, Lisa. A club control. South must have a club control now to bid 4 no trumps. And then depending on what they play, I think they're probably playing 14-30 here. They've come back and said that they have got 1 or 4 of the key cards. There's 5 key cards. I'm not going to go too much into the Roman key card today. I know some of you will be very familiar with it and some of you won't. I'll come back to that in a second, Lisa, sorry. But with the Roman key card, I'll probably just say what the answers are to the Roman key card. So if you're not familiar with Roman key card, maybe just trust me that I'm giving the right answer to the responses when we do some of these examples hands. But the 5 clubs here is meant 14 or 30. Does anyone know what the 5 diamonds means? This is quite complex bidding. What does the 5 diamonds mean? It's asking for the queen. This is really fun for people who have got into the sort of secondary bids for Roman keycard. So what they've done here is they've asked for the queen of trumps. They've actually come back with 5 spades saying, I have got the queen and I've also got the king of spades. This is really sophisticated. And then they've gone to 7 hearts, which is very, very cool. So in terms of Lisa's question, could North have 4 diamonds? I was thinking about this. So if you were playing Acol, you wouldn't. I personally wouldn't have 4 diamonds, because if I were playing Acol, if I had 4 diamonds and 4 hearts, and then had 3 a balanced hand, I would always open the hearts first. So when I've got 4-4 with a balanced hand, I would always open hearts rather than the diamonds. And if I were playing standard American, if I had a balanced hand, which is the way it would have to be to have 4 here and then 4 hearts, if I had a balanced hand, I would be opening 1 no trump here, because with the 3 heart rebid, you're showing 16, sort of 17, maybe 18 points. So unless you've got an 18 count, I think would be the only way you could have 4 diamonds here. So it feels like they're going to have 5 diamonds here. Right, so I thought what we'll do now is everyone got the pens handy now, because this is where we're going to get the thinking caps on, really think about what we're doing. So we're moving on to an example hand. Okay, so this is where we've gone 1 spade and North has jumped to 4 clubs. Glyn says, could the sequence show second round control in 2 suits? Yes, potentially it could. Yeah. So I'll just quickly run through the splinter bid. I know Shauna knows what it is. Some people won't know what it is, but I'll tell the ones who are not familiar, just so they can get a picture of exactly what's going on in the hand. So when North jumps to 4 clubs, they're agreeing the spades. They're basically saying we are definitely playing in spades, but I'm not just bidding 4 spades because I've got a more sophisticated way of showing you more about my hand rather than just bidding 4 spades. They've gone up to the 4 level, so you're never stopping below 4 spades. They've jumped up, and what they're saying is I have got a singleton or a void in this club suit. And for me, this is 9, 10, or 11 points, maybe 12. If I'm bigger than this, I use something called Jacoby next, which I'd love to talk about in a few lessons down the line. So I want you to think now that North has definitely got a shortage in clubs, either a singleton or a void. People don't make splinters with a singleton king, gives their partner the wrong idea. They've got a singleton or a void in clubs, and they've got at least 4 spades, and they've got 9 to 11 points. So maybe just write down a few hands that you think North might have that would meet those criteria. 9, 10, 11 points. Shortage in clubs. Very unlikely to have any points in the clubs because you don't like splintering with a shortage in the clubs. Where are the points going to be in their hand? And then I want us to start visualizing how the hands can fit together. I can just feel the mental energy coming around the world. Hopefully you're writing some hands out. So you can see when you're thinking about this, when you're looking at the south hand, you're getting a lot of clues from what they must have in their hand, aren't you? Because you know that you've got pretty much all the points in the spades other than the queen and jack of diamonds. So that could be 3 points there. And yeah, like Wendy says, it's probably going to be in the hearts and the diamond suit. So there's quite a lot of hands that your partner could have here. Like they could have the queen jack of diamonds, maybe. Ace of queen jack of diamonds is 3 points. Queen jack of spades is 6 points. And they need another 3 points. Like say they had the king of hearts, for instance. That could be what they have. Or maybe they've got the ace of hearts, ace of diamonds, queen of diamonds. That would be 8, 9, 10. Queen jack of diamonds, 11. That's what they could have. If they have more than 12, they're probably going through Jacoby. So you can see from South's point of view, there's a lot of hands that North could have that are going to gel very, very nicely with South's hand. And a lot of hands that are going to make slam here. So when they see this jump, they're thinking that's really, really good. They love the fact that their ace is opposite a singleton or a void in their partner's hand because they know they've got no club losers at all. They can play the ace and then rough the 8 and the 7, which is really nice. So thoughts about what you might bid now with the south hand? What do you really want to know? What's quite nice about this hand as well is you know that the lead is coming round into your south hand, which is really nice when you see that king of diamonds, because you know that, and I think it was Chris who mentioned this point before, second round controls, because they're the king, occasionally you can end up with a king and dummy and they can lead through your king. But when you've got the king in your hand, that's nice. If they lead a diamond, it's going to lead up towards your king, so your king will make a trick. So thoughts about what you might do next. We can pop to the actual hand. I'm going to pop over to the actual hand now. Everyone see the whole actual hand? Tell me how close you got, by the way, with your hand when you were predicting what North had. Who got close? I mean, it's a bit of a guess here because it could be a few things. Anyone get close with the hand when they were guessing it? Yeah, more or less, says Chris. Yeah. Yep. It's amazing. It's amazing how close you can get. And this is what you should be doing when you're when you open the bidding and your partner's making bids. You should be trying to analyze and really think about what's in your partner's hand. So my bridge teacher says to me, imagine 3 hands. When you're thinking about slam, give yourself time to imagine 3 hands in your brain. I can't do it with a pen and paper, unfortunately, at the bridge table. Try and visualize 3 different hands and think about whether it could work. So we've got a spade. So this person is doing the splinter, and it's because they've got 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 points. So 9 to 11 for me is the range for a splinter, and a singleton or a void in the club suit. So they jump to 4 clubs to show this exact hand type. And then you're showing the first or second round control in diamonds. So if you didn't bid the diamonds and bid first or second round control in hearts, you're promising your partner that you don't have the first or second round control in diamonds. So when you bid 4 diamonds, your partner knows that you've got first or second round control. So this person could say, hey, I've got first or second round control in hearts. South is excited. I mean, South would have been very excited right from the beginning as soon as they saw that 4 clubs. So South says 4 no trumps, asking for aces. And if we're playing 14-30, which is slightly better than 30-14, I don't know which one everybody's playing, and it's certainly better than just playing standard aces, but it does take a little bit of learning. But if you play 40-13, if you bid 5 clubs, that's saying you have got 1 or 4 key cards. So 5 clubs is the answer here. I have got 1 or 4 key cards, partner. And then, so out of the 5 key cards, the 4 aces and the king of trumps, if you've got 4 out of the 5 key cards and you've got hands that are good for slam, so that's fundamental. Having 4 out of 5 of the key cards is not going to be great if neither of you have got a hand that's good for slam. But if you've got a hand that's really interested in slam and you've got 4 out of the 5 key cards, then that's the answer that you really want to hear. So here they are going to bid 6 spades. What do you think you would lead, by the way, against this with the West hand? Just looking at the bidding. What's everyone thinking about leading? Ace of diamonds, yeah. The thing, I think the ace of diamonds jumps out particularly here. Like you often lead an ace against slam anyway, but especially here because when North does a splinter in clubs, West knows there's not a lot of point in sort of being aggressive with this club suit. So sometimes against slams, if I think that no one has showed that they've got a shortage in clubs, I might think rather than leading the ace, I might be very aggressive and just try and open up the club suit and knock out their ace on the hope that my partner's got the queen, so that when I win my ace of diamonds, I might get a trick in that club suit. But here there's no point here in doing that because you know that South has got a shortage. North, sorry, has got a shortage in the club suit. So there's no, there's never going to be time to establish a trick in this heart suit, even if your partner does have something in the club suit. So I think ace of diamonds is a normal lead. And you can see that it's going to be a very, very nice slam. So you can ruff the clubs, you've got the diamonds, and you've got the ace of hearts as well. So you've ended up in a nice place. So who's ready for another one? We'll swing back to here and get everyone thinking about this next hand. Okay, so South, you've got this amazing hand here. So South is open to club. Your partners come back and bid a spade. And as soon as you see that, you think, wow, okay, that's very, very nice with your void. So 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. And for a void, I give myself about 4 or maybe 5 points. So this is very nice. So for me, some people might just jump straight to 4 spades, might just splinter, I'm sorry, with this hand. They might actually immediately show a splinter, but to me it's a bit aggressive, especially if my partner has bid light here, which he may have done. So I think 3 spades here is a good bid. So I would jump to 3 spades, showing a hand that's worth 16, 17, 18 points. Not quite good enough to splinter. So can everyone just take a second? The North is now Q-bid 4 hearts. So you've agreed spades at the 3 level, and your partner said, hey, I've got some sort of interest in slam. You're not Q-bidding unless you do think you might have a chance of slam, and bid 4 hearts. So try and write down a kind of hand that you think that North might have. This is a bit wider, this one. Could be lots of stuff. Yep, some good points coming up. And try and incorporate those good points sort of, Glenn, into your what you think that hand is going to be. I can feel the scribbling. No one's drinking wine. Okay. So Wendy's made a good point. So let's just chat through that as well, because hopefully everyone's written down the hand shape. So Wendy said, what's the point range for a splinter as an opening rebid then? I'm confused. And it is confusing, Wendy. I can quickly just chat about that. So the points change from an opener making a splinter to a responder making a splinter because you're both dealing with different point ranges from your partner. So when you open the bidding and your partner bids a suit, like here, so you've opened a club and your partner bids a spade, for you to make a splinter, you're basically doing a double jump. So you have to go all the way up to the 4 level to make the splinter. And to do that, you have to be comfortable to play in game. So you always have to be comfortable to play in game to make a splinter. So it depends. It always have to take it from the perspective of what you know. If you're an opener, you know that your partner only may have 6 points. So for you to make a splinter up to the 4 level, you have to know that you've got the equivalent to 25 points between the 2 hands. And you can count your voids and your singletons and give yourself points for shape here. But you do have to have 25 points between the 2 hands. And if your partner's only got 6 points potentially in your hand, that's what you have to take into account. So you have to have a hand that's worth a 19 count to do it, because you're forcing to game. If you had jumped to 4 hearts here, your partner can never stop below 4 spades. So you're forced to game. So you've got to think, if my partner's only got 6 points, how many points do I need to force for game? Whereas if you're a responder and you're the person making a splinter like that last hand, the reason it's 9 to 11 points is 9 plus points for your shortage is basically a 12 or 13 count. That's why. So you can always work these things out sort of logically, weirdly. And if you can work them out logically, it's much easier for you because you don't have to remember the rules. Remembering the rules, I think, in bridge is a terrible way to learn and understand bidding, because it's for me anyway, my memory would never be able to achieve that. Whereas I can work these things out through logic. How many points for a void or singleton, says Rosemary? People have different views here. So I give myself 3 points for a singleton, 4 points for a void. I know experts tend to give themselves 5 points for a void because they think that they're going to be great. they can achieve lots because they're brilliant bridge players. So they give themselves 5 points for avoid. I'm a bit more conservative. I give myself 4 points for avoid. Yeah. So in this case, North needs 13 points. So say I give yourself, if I'm giving myself 4 points for the void, I'd make it a wee bit more, Linda, with a void. Bit more. That's why I bid 3 spades, especially because my partner in North might have stretched to bid 1 spade. Like maybe she liked her 4 count. You don't really know. She might have responded with like 5 spades in a 4 count or something. So I am a little bit careful in jumping with a splinter with an opener if I don't think that we are definitely can be in game. So okay, everyone would have written down the hands, and a lot of people I think have probably noticed that North cannot have a control in clubs or diamonds. Otherwise, they would have bid 4 clubs or 4 diamonds. So then you also know that they must have at least 2 cards in both clubs and in diamonds, and 2 cards that can't incorporate the ace or the king. Otherwise, that would count as the first or second round control in the hand. I'm going to pull up the hand and then take us over to it. Okay, can you see it? So they've got a really big hand because they've said they're interested in slam, and they've also denied a diamond or a club control. So this is a sort of hand, like if North had seen that 3 spade bid, they're going to think this is brilliant. This feels like slam. They've got an amazing hand. They've got 14, 15, 16, 17 points, plus 1 for each of the double quins, 18, 19. And their partner has jumped to say that they had an amazing hand. Let's put the bidding in so everyone can visualize it properly. It was a 1 club, pass, 1 spade. And then South had jumped to 3 spades to say, I've got a big hand. Quite big enough for game, not quite big enough to splinter if that were available to me, but I've got a big hand. So you can see that North would be excited here. If I had the North hand, I'd be thinking this is going to slam. It feels like this hand is going to slam. I just need my partner to have something in the diamonds and the clubs. And so you told your partner you had first or second round control in hearts. Also said to your partner with your hand on your beating heart that you do not have first or second round control in diamonds or clubs. So you bid 4 hearts. And then what should South do? They know their partner's interested in slam because their partner bid 4 hearts. Yeah, 4 spades, says Chris. I had a really good expression the other day. I really like it. It's bid 4, shut the door. You're basically saying, I'm not interested if you bid 4. Sometimes you're not interested because you've got sort of holes in your spaces in your hand that are vulnerable, and sometimes you're not interested because you're a minimum. But I would definitely bid 4, shut the door here. The diamond suit, you know you must have at least 2 diamond losers. Your partner didn't bid first or second round control on the diamonds. So if you weren't playing these Italian style cubids, you could get in a bit of a pickle here. You could end up both getting blindsided by how nice your hands were and bid slam, and then be missing these 2 cards off the top. And they're going to lead them, right? They're going to lead the ace and the king of diamonds, and you'll be going off in slam. So this clever and very elegant communication between both of you have made you end up in a safe place here. Okay, so I hope everyone's brains are doing all right. Let's go back here. We're on to another one. Okay, so you've got to twist your brain around a bit. Now you're going to pretend that you are east. So this time, your partner west has opened the bidding with a club, and you have bid a spade. And your partner west has jumped to 3 spades. So we all know what this means now. Jump in responder suit is saying I've got a hand that's worth 16, 17, 18 points. It's not good enough to bid 4 spades and not good enough to splinter if you happen to have a splinter bid available. So your partner's jumped to 3 spades. And now you have Q-bid 4 clubs because you are starting with your lowest Q available. You're interested in slam opposite a possible 16, 17, 18 count from your partner. These hands look really nice. And you're Q-bidding 4 clubs, and your partner's come back and Q-bid 4 hearts. So everything you know Think about everything you know. Think about where your partner's points must be and try and place your partner with a hand. Try and write down a hand from your partner. They haven't bid 4 diamonds as a key here. They have opened with a club and then jumped to 3 spades. So try and write down the hand that you think that your partner might have. Just take your time. Think about all the spaces, what's in your hand with the East, what they can't have, and what they can't have because you have got it, and what they can't have because of the bidding. If you get time, you finish one hand, try and come up with another one. So remember, hand worth 16 points. Give you another 30 seconds. $16 points, no control on diamonds, Chris has said. That's absolutely right. That was Glenn, actually. At least 5 clubs and 4 spades. And I think that's almost always going to be the case if you're playing 5-card majors, a standard American here as well, normally, unless there's something weird going on. Just because they would have opened 1 no trump with a 16 count with a balanced hand. Okay, so now I'm going to show you the hand. We're going over. Let's see how close you got. Okay, here we go. They've opened a club. You've bid a spade. They've jumped to 3 spades. And you have now cubed your clubs and they cubed their hearts. So anyone get close? How close did you get to the hands? Good one. Well done, Shorter. Yeah, well done, Glenn. It's such a fun exercise doing this. And this is really absolutely what you need to be doing at the table. Yeah, well done, Jeanette. Okay, this is great. This is great. Everyone's coming up with good hands. So at the table, don't feel bad about thinking. So Shorter's saying at the table, it's going to be harder. Yep, well done, Rosemary, getting the king queen. Don't feel bad about thinking at the table. So don't take your time thinking at the table when you don't need to think. I mean, that can even be cheating, right? If you're taking long pauses when you've got an obvious card to play or an obvious bid to make. But if you need to think, bridge is a thinking game. It is okay to think at the table, and you'll make up for times at the table when you don't need to think. So don't feel pressurized to suddenly come in and bid like a robot without thinking and analyzing the hands when you need to think. When you need to think, take your time and think. It's completely okay. And don't let anyone ever put any pressure on you to speed up. If you have to think, just say, look, sorry, I'm thinking. I need to process this. I need to work out what's going on. Yeah, could have had the ace of hearts, said Chris. Yep, you could easily have had the ace of hearts. So now East is going to be excited because they know their partner doesn't have the diamond control. So even with the hand that they visualize, some of your hands that you're coming up with, they know that slam is a possibility. And so they're really interested in pushing on with this hand. So they would bid 4 no trumps, asking for aces or key cards. So out of the 5 key cards, you've got the 4 aces and the king of trumps. So here you have got 2 of the key cards because you've got the ace of clubs and you've got the king of spades. So the answer, if you play Roman key card Blackwood here, is actually 5 spades. And that says to your partner, I have got 2 key cards and I have got the queen of trumps. So they bid 5 spades. And then East thinks, my partner's got 2 key cards and the queen of trumps. So they know that you've got 4 of the 5 key cards. They also know that you're missing one key card. So missing one key card, you do not want to be in Grand Slam. So missing one key card here, you're just going to bid 6 spades. Going to be very happy with the decision. And South has got an opening lead to make. Most people here are going to lead the Ace of Hearts. And it's a nice slam, right? It's a very, very nice slam. You've got those lovely clubs. You've got the Queen of Hearts now established. You've got all the spades, and you're going to make this nice slam. Okay, I'm going to pull you back, and we're going to do another one. Okay, so now you are North. So your partner has opened 1 spade. So that all you know when they open 1 spade is they've got at least 12 points. If they're playing Ecole, they've got at least 4 spades. Even if you're playing Ecole, you almost always do have 5 or more spades. The only time is if you've got a big balanced hand. So you've opened 1 spade, at least 12 points, at least 5 spades if you're playing Standard American or Turbo 1, and at least 4 spades if you're playing Ecole. And North has jumped to 3 spades. So this is an interesting situation. You can see I haven't splintered here with this North hand. And the reason I haven't splintered is I'm just a bit light, I think, to make a splinter because I've only got 8 points. So it feels like I'm too good just to bid 2 spades. So I'm going to jump to 3 spades with this sort of hand. And then South has bid 4 diamonds. So tell me everything, or write down a hand for South. So when South bids 4 diamonds, they haven't done bid 4, shut the door. They're interested in slam. They could just sign off. So write down a hand that you think South must have, given that they know that you have got a hand that didn't splinter, but has got a hand that's probably worth the equivalent of sort of 10, 11 points, even though you haven't splintered. So you might have jumped to 3 hearts because you have a flat balanced hand with 10, 11, 12 points. Probably not 12 unless it's a really bad 12. Or you might have jumped because you can't do something else like splinter. Jump to 3 spades, I mean, not 3 hearts. So try and write down a hand for South. What you think South might have. And think about all the clues as well. You know that they don't have a control in the club suit. It might be slightly different what you're writing down depending on what system you're playing as well. Because if you are playing Ecole, you know they don't have a 12 to 14 balanced hand. If you're playing 5 card majors Turbo 1, you know they don't have a balanced 15 to 17 hand. Give it another 30 seconds before we switch it over. I mean, it could be a lot of things, this hand. And then we'll talk about what we're going to do next. Okay, let's switch it over. Okay, there it is. So they've opened a spade. They've actually got a great hand. You've jumped to 3 spades. So you've set the major at the 3 level. And then they started by bidding 4 diamonds. So what would you bid now? You've got a couple of options here, actually. You've got the king of spades. You know your partner's interested in slam. Yeah, you could show first or second round control in hearts. You've got or you could probably just bid 4 no trumps as well, because you know that they're interested in slam and they don't have a club control. and you actually do have a club control. So you know that you've got a heart control, you know that you've got the clubs stopped, and you know that they've got the diamond control, and you know that they're interested in slam. So it could even be you here who just takes the reins. I think in fact, I think you should take the reins. I mean, if you do bid for hearts, you're not really going to do that unless you've got the club stopped, because you would basically be saying, if I don't have the clubs controlled, I'm just signing off, I'm bidding for, shutting the door. Whereas if you do bid for hearts, you must have something in the club suit to do that. You can't basically say to your partner, I'm still interested in slam, if you know that they haven't got a control on clubs and neither do you. So either of those are probably fine. You're bidding for no trumps, asking for aces, and you are hearing from your partner. They've got 1, 2, 3, which is 5 diamonds, 3 or 0. Is there any way it could be 0 from North's point of view? Could it ever be 0 that they've got here? You know that they've opened the bidding and then they've shown an interest in slam. This is kind of an interesting point, actually, so I'll just cover it really briefly. Here, I don't think there's any way it could be 0. It just has to be 3. It just, from where the points are, it just can't be right, because if the points were, they would have had a club control as well if it were the other way around, if they didn't have the aces. So it just does, it feels like it just has to be 3 rather than 0. If you're ever unsure, by the way, and you think it might be 0, what you can do, I'll just quickly show you, is you can sign off, and the person who has the 3 will go, oh, they clearly thought I had 0, but I have 3. They never would have asked if 3 were a bad number, and you would take it to 6. So that's important. If you're never sure if it's 0 or 3, 0 would be, and 0 is a terrible outcome, and 3 is the great outcome, and your partner, you think it might be 0, then you just sign off in 5, and your partner will then take it to 6, because they're the one who knows, and they're the one with 3. But here, after the 3, they must have 3, so you would just bid 6 spades. Cool. So we've done a lot of complicated bidding today, and I really hope that for people who haven't been familiar with those cubers before or come across it, and the splinters as well, because we've done a bit of splinter work too, and Roman keycard, that you're starting to see how you can really communicate really beautifully with your partner, and how slam bidding is a brilliant art of communication. So what I quickly wanted to say, I thought I was going to do, I'm going to, in fact, do some, in the next few sessions, some work on some particular types of bidding toolbox bids that are good for people to have. And the first one I wanted to talk about was the unassuming Q bid. So just quickly for a second, I'm going to give you a little thing about the unassuming Q bid. Let me just pop into the whiteboard. Where are we here? Everyone see the whiteboard? Just pull me out of the way. Yep, cool. So unassuming Q bid, the UCB for short, is a really, really, really good and useful bid to know about. So if you're using it, that's great. If you're not using it, you really should think about using it. And the most normal time it's used is when your partner's overcalled. So say, let's just put a little bridge table down here, like that. Say your the opponents have opened 1 heart, and this person's bid 1 spade, and this person's passed. If you're sitting here, you don't really know that much about your partner's hand when they've overcalled. So the overcalling range is very, very wide. Like your partner could have overcalled with a 7 count, but they might have actually overcalled with like a really big hand. It's possible they've overcalled with anything up to sort of a 16, 17 count. More than that, they're going to start with a double. They're going to start with a double to say, I've got a monster hand. So this is so wide ranging when you overcall. Whereas when you open the bidding, you know that you're sort of 12 through to normally kind of 20, 21, 22, depending on what sort of hand shape you've got. So it's a narrower range. But this here is a very sort of wide ranging. It could be a horrible hand, or it could be a really, really good hand. So the unassuming Q bid is a very clever way of just telling your partner that you've got a good raise in their suit. And you do that by bidding the opponent's suit. It's kind of like, whoa, wake up, partner. I'm bidding your suit. And I'm going to tell you that I have a good raise in your suit. I'm not just wanting to play in your suit. I've got a good raise in your suit. Some of you will be familiar with this. Others won't. But that's what we are planning on doing next week. So, yeah, I imagine there could well be some questions about these Italian style cubids. So feel free to ask them. If anybody manages to make one this week, let me know. I would be thrilled. And Winterslam using it. I'm great. So thrilled you loved it, Wendy. That was awesome. Hope you get to use them. Yeah, it's annoying they're Italian. Got to give the Italians credit. I know. Anyway, good luck with your bridge this week. I think we've probably got Bajir coming back in, have we?
Thank you so much, Bridget. Another just fantastic lesson. Very challenging.
Yeah.
The mental workout. I put off the glass of wine. It's waiting for me downstairs. I need it now.
I know. And did you do it? How close did you get to the hands?
You know, it felt like mind reading, you know, where it's just like, it almost felt like magic tricks. Because the clues were there, and then the cards, you know, once they were revealed, it's like, oh, I know, pretty close.
Cool. It's cool. It's kind of like, it's almost like psychology in a funny way. You're really trying to get in the brain of what's going on of your partner. You're trying to see, and you're almost like looking at their cards. You can work out so much. Should we have pencil and paper for next week as well? Yeah, why not? Why not? I think it's a good thing to do.
Maybe here on out. Keep it handy, guys, just in case.
Yeah, and put that one away.
Oh, gosh, this was really fun. Can't wait for next week. Unassuming cubids. And if you play a hand relevant to this week or next week's lesson, let us know. Let Bridget know on the class page, and we'll all keep learning there. Yeah, fantastic. Okay, nice to see you. Thank you, Bridget. Thanks all. Okay, bye.